how do I make sure that I don't get mom guilt? That because you love your job so much, you're invested in the lives of all these other young people that you were like, am I spending enough time with my children?
Another amazing episode of Behind the Door, where we highlight amazing sports leaders. In addition to that, we also talk about sports leaders in the aspect of they need to be seen, heard, and supported too. And I'm so excited for the amazing guests that I got going that's going to come up. I'm trying to figure out even how to introduce you because there's so many different doggone actually layers to her that we're gonna pull out and speak on, and she's just amazing person. I always say, you guys, LinkedIn is great, and that's one of the things. Meeting this amazing woman on LinkedIn, and like she said, she came on. I feel like I already know her, like a mentor, auntie, sister, or just something's been supportive just in a small time. So I thank you so much. But I always jump in when I first ask my guest, Coach Leah, how are you today? How are you feeling?
So I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I'm really honored that you would allow me to come and share with your guests on your platform. And so you got to return the favor at some point. And but yeah, you're doing some. So I'm excited. I really am. I've been looking forward to this since we first connected. So thank you.
I love it, and I'm big on faith and spirituality, so she's not gonna have me crying on here already. And I'm definitely gonna return the favor as well. And as I said, faith leader, servant leader, and leadership, she embodies so much. And so instead, I'm gonna allow you to just introduce yourself and tell the people first a little bit about you and what you do.
So my name is Leah Jean Denley. No one ever calls me that unless they're mad at me. Everybody calls me just Coach Leah, and I coach, and that's okay too. I'm a career and life coach in this stage of the game. Formerly, ball player, coach, administrator, all the things, and I really am leaning in now to my consulting and my career and life coaching practice, and really just lead me in the way that he needs for me to go and serve at this point. And so yeah, so I like to think that I help leaders and organizations align with their purpose and performance in an optimal way. And I've been building out programs to be able to do that, program strategies and infrastructures for folks to do that for well over 30 years. And I know I don't look like it.
And don't, if you guys only knew, man, Coach Leah was straight diva, baby. We toned it down a little bit. What she toned it, I would have like, hey, do your thing, do your thing. On it, but definitely do not look like with all those years that of greatness that you have behind you. And gearing into that, we want to go back because you did say sports, athlete, and a coach. Can we just dive a little deep on what sports did you play and how did you get into sports?
That is a so what sport didn't I play? No, let's start there. No. So I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and skating. And we would be out at the park, shout out to Phelps Park in South Minneapolis. And one of their speed skating said that, hey, we're doing basketball practice across the street at the church. Do you want to come and do that? Because at 6, 7, 8 years old, I was already really taller than everybody. And so, and running track at the time when I was younger, and did volleyball. Just eventually started focusing in on basketball when the people in the community that were coaching me let me know that, hey, you can get a scholarship playing basketball. And around that time, I was between 6 foot and 6'2" in the 10th grade. And so there we go. I got a personal trainer to help me with my shooting because I was terrible. But within one summer, I went from not being able to shoot at all to leading the city in scoring. And so that just also let me know that when I put my mind to something and I set a goal, that I can actually attain those things. And so that's a little backstory on me as an athlete. I ended up being one of the top players in the country, recruited by a lot of different people. And so I like to tell people that I'm 1 degree of separation from everyone on the planet, and I love to make connections. And you are in Birmingham, and my I first signed with UAB coming out of high school.
Wow, okay.
So I was there just a short time. However, I went there for the summer prior to my freshman year, and was there that freshman semester, and then transferred to Tennessee Tech, where I finished my collegiate career in undergrad. So playing for the legendary Marinelle Metters, who, if anybody knows her, they probably know her from, my apologies, I just knew this, maybe know her from the WNBA, because she was the first coach and GM of the Charlotte Sting. Then she was the first coach and GM of the Miami Soul, and then became the first GM and head coach of the Atlanta Dream. So she's the type of person that like to start things,
Mhm.
and I like to think that her lineage, from a player. She's my coach mom, and I'm an apple off of her, not far from her tree, and liking to start things from scratch, because she's definitely that pioneer that has done that in a
Thank
lot of different
you.
sectors.
No, thank you for the education. I know a lot of female coaches that are listening to this. We definitely, and athletes, we definitely need that history. That's one thing about the platform of making sure we're hearing that coaches are seen and supported, and we're highlighting some of the amazing things that they've done, and definitely educated me more on some of that information. So you guys, also what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it in the show notes too at the bottom. I'm gonna make sure I have that too. So just to give some history, the more history we know about what women has done, doing, and accomplished, it make us better as a community and as a culture of women's sports. So we definitely going to make sure we highlight that information. In addition to that, I heard you say coach too, and I heard you also coach. So how did you go from being an athlete to get into coaching?
So it was a sort of a natural transition. I did you get eligibility forever after COVID. That is still cracking me up. I was finishing up my undergraduate degree, but I had already exhausted all my eligibility, and so I was able to become a student coach for my team during that 5th year. And so I did that, for Tennessee Tech, and then from there was not quite sure if I would stay in coaching, but decided that maybe I will pursue it. Ended up being a student assistant at the University of Minnesota, at the same time that my eldest daughter, Chelsea McKell Frazier, and then started coaching at the high school level, and dibble and dabbled with also going back into collegiate coaching, and actually then got out altogether. Um, and it was a decision that I needed to make as a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
that I needed to be there for my daughter, and because the coaching at the Division I level is no joke. It still is no joke. I mean, it's very, very time intensive, and you have to really have an amazing support system to be able to keep, be able to maintain being a parent as well as being a coach, especially at the Division I level.
I love that you hit on that. I had a great conversation with a coach earlier. One of my sisters, one of my sorors, and she's a high school coach, and we was talking about that. And can you kind of go in on that? Like, what are some of the challenges that a mom go through, a female coach go through with having kids? Because she was just pouring out about that, and that's something to again with this platform for us to be able to talk about it. She's like, know what? Nobody's talking about this, coach. Like, it is hard. And she's been now compared to other male coaches. And she's like, their time frame is not the same time frame. I have to pick the baby up and drop him off. Their wife or their mom, are doing those things. So what were some of the challenges that you actually experienced?
So the challenges, honestly, are how do I make sure that I don't get mom guilt? That's the biggest challenge, because you realize that because your job so much, you're invested in the lives of all these other young people, that, um, you're like, am I spending enough time with my children? Am I, and when I'm home, am I home? Am I locked in with their needs and things of that nature? And I actually wrote an article about that a few years back about mom guilt and what are some things that I did to combat that. But I will say you definitely have to have a very, very strong support system. And it's kind of hard because the support system means that when you're not there, whoever's around your children are going to treat your children like their children, or maybe even better than if they're their own children, and sometimes sometimes that works. Sometimes that's a challenge because you just don't know sometimes, and especially the way things are today. A person that's even really close to your family may be the actual person that does something devastatingly wrong to your child. So, it's just a lot of faith, a lot of praying, a lot of, okay, God, please send the people, send the tribe to me that can help me navigate because you've given me this call and this purpose to work this job as a coach and leading and guiding these young people, over here, these other folks. How can I make sure that mine are okay when I'm not with them? And so, I'll give another little trick that I've shared with other young women that are coaches. And this was something that was shared with me by one of the assistant coaches' wives of the Minnesota Timberwolves. She said, develop and design and work programs for youth that you can bring your children to. And so that I've been sharing that little snippet for a long time, especially at the high school level. When you're at the high school level, you can, if there's after school programs or if there's a school that's near your school where you're coaching, make sure that your child is involved with those after school programs because a lot of times those times align with the time that you're athletes. And so, that's something that you can try to do as well. But I would say that the biggest challenge is the mom guilt. And I want to tell you right now that the only thing that you're going to be able to do to get over the mom guilt is to try to be very intentional with the time that you do have with your kids. Be locked in.
Yeah,
Don't be distracted. Don't be on your phone. Just really be locked in.
I love it. Be locked in, but mom guilt. Not actually having my own, but knowing hundreds of kids that I have, I totally understand, like you said, that guilt of just not being there. And also question yourself, are they going to remember the things that I did provide to them? Or are they only going to remember when I wasn't there because of that guilt on that? And staying in there, would you say, is there enough support for athletes where I would say for actual women coaches that have kids? Is there enough support since you've been coaching? Have you seen a change in the industry of how they support women coaches in the industry?
I haven't seen anything done systematically. I think that it's program by program, team by team, school by school, and the important and here's the thing: there's no cookie cutter um, solution either because the way that you are wired, the way that your family dynamics are wired, may need something different than somebody
Yeah.
else. So I think that's a real good reason why you should come see me as a career life coach because I've been through a lot of things, my experiential knowledge, and then also my ability to help another professional navigate what would be the important things to have in place, and then perhaps where to find that support. That support system isn't always necessarily a person. Um, I, I I talk a lot about how I was pretty much raised in the Boys and Girls Club back in the day, and I'm old enough to remember before the Boys and Girls Club was even the Boys and Girls Club,
Wow.
and it was just the Boys Club. So that's just another story for another time. But I was there in my community, and the directors and the people between the parks and the Boys and Girls Club pretty much helped raise me. And then I looked at those same type of support systems, organizations, programs. If it wasn't one that I developed, I was looking for something that would be good for my kids to be a part of, and that's really really important as well.
I like that you actually said that it's no cookie color, it's no one thing. And I think that's so profound because every school is different. What may work at one school would not work at another school or another college. But it's also about that coach of that college saying that we want to take in and making sure we're pouring into our coaches. So we have to see what's fit for that coach. And I think we're still far away from being able to make sure that those things are needed. And I know that I hear a lot, especially when I coach, from the ADs, we're like, well, you're a coach, you're a coach. But also, a coach shouldn't have to sacrifice their well being and their kids to be able to pour into other people. And we have to
Yeah.
put that through our head. But, we see the dollar sign first and just see it as a job instead of impact. It's a job on paper. It's a job when I need you to be there, but it's impact in front of the TV screen and all that. And going into that, leadership, media, nonprofit, you wear so many other hats too as well that you don't talk in detail about, but you wear those. So from that, how has faith guided you through all those things? And I want to go into that part because again, it's a lot of coaches that we know that are really like, man, how am I going to continue to gear through all this? So how has faith been a big part of you through your journey?
So my approach is rooted in like spiritual resilience, just having the knowledge to know that because I'm a child of the King, I'm going to be okay. Now, as we're going through it, doesn't really feel like it sometimes. When you're dealing with it at the moment, how saying like, okay, I know God, you got me, but why do I have to endure this right now? You know what I'm saying? Now that I've gone through so many things, like the young people will say, I got receipts, some actual things that I've gone through and seen how God has just held me and put his hedge of protection around me, and has allowed for the Holy Spirit, which I'll be honest, when I was younger, I didn't understand for myself my discernment was so strong, and when I would see things and experience things that I already knew because in my pit, in my soul, in my spirit, I was feeling like, oh no, or did that person really just say what they said? Or did that person just do what they really just did? Like, you know, and I've learned now to trust that discernment. And so when I learned that there's somebody who has that gift of discernment, I really try to help guide them through how to activate that within their faith and in their spiritual gifts. And we can talk a whole nother hour just about spiritual gifts because that's I love talking about that. But um, also being raised in the church, I've been baptized at an early age. I grew up in AME. I'm Baptist now, but that's again neither here nor there. But I always knew that I was um, called apart per se, and was teased about that, and went through a period where I didn't like being teased, and so I kind of would buck against the system a little bit of knowing what God had for me and within my faith I knew that I was supposed to do and not do. And so, but what I'm grateful for is even through that, what we would call with that, the storm period, or when you're going through the valley and all that stuff, um, again, coming on this other side of it, I see, well, two things. A, why I had to experience those things. That's the knowledge and the empathy that I need to have for the young women, some young men that I coach now, that I consult, and just say when they come to me and say, "Hey, I've had this happen," I can say, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel because I went through some of those things as well, right?" And so I can use that for my own testimony. But the other thing is to be able to have that guidance be such that when you don't share it, you don't realize how you're basically handicapping that gift of that experience
Yeah.
that somebody else is going to benefit from. I don't know if you've ever heard the term, many things that we've experienced, it's not even for us. It's going to be for somebody else. And so we've got to share when you've been convicted, you've got to share those experiences. And so I don't know. I hope I didn't veer too off the.
No, I think it's definitely where you put, it was there. It's your faith and your spirituality has guided you in all aspects of your life. Additionally to the work that you do of being able to see discernment and give discernment to the people that you serve, and also to the people that you're mentoring and coaching, is because of that. And like you said, many of us, we run away from it. We don't want people to know that we have it. And I think a good bit of people that are coaching or leading, you're in that position because you have some kind of spiritual faith on you, and it's a calling. So you have to give when you're doing things. I think all of us
1000%.
have that in some form of fashion. I know I will always be like, God, I'm not going to go talk to that person, mama. I'm not going to say that to that little girl. Be like, yes, you is. This your calling. This is what I got you to do, and you're gonna do it. I even said, and we're gonna jump back into it, but when we started doing this here, me rebuilding this platform and started putting flowers for female coaches and providing that to just want to have coaches be seen, heard, and supported and loved on, God Ben gave me that. And I was like, nah. He was like, yeah, you're gonna do it. He gave me to about a year ago. I was like, and I said in my post was, another young lady, a college coach that I had actually did an interview with and talk with, she actually inboxed me out of nowhere. I wasn't recording and doing anything, and she was like, "You know what, coach? Thank you." I'm like, "Huh?" She was like, "Yeah, thank you. People need to hear your voice. We need this. Thank you for continuing to open the waves and also just put women's sports in the forefront." And I'm like, why you playing? Here you go again with this mess here. But it was being in that area of walking in faith and being aligned with what God wants me to do. And when He does that, you got to do it. And what you was saying is that's what you've been. You've been aligned. So can you kind of define of what is alignment, and what do you believe your alignment has been as you cross your journey of been doing everything?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. So, alignment is so important. So, and it's twofold. So, being in alignment is the goal, right? Knowing what your alignment
Mm,
is the journey, right? And once that light bulb goes off, when you understand when something is in alignment and when something isn't, and it's tied to purpose, right? So it's tied to, when I break things down, a lot of times I'll say, so what is your passion? What would you, and then sometimes I'll even break it down even more. What would you do if nobody even paid you to do it? When you first wake up in the morning, what is the thing you're most excited? What would be the thing that you're most excited to do? A lot of times that's tied to your purpose. Okay. So once you're there and you understand your purpose, and then when you're in that space, that sweet spot, that's your alignment, right? And so then some things will happen, either tasks or encounters with different people, jobs, trips, um, habits will be either in alignment or out of alignment. And once it's out of alignment, you typically know that right away. And the goal is to be able to say and be confident to say, this, I'm out of alignment right now. Say, be able to be truthful to yourself and be able to be truthful to the situation or to whoever else is being affected by you being in that space. And so um, you will find that when you're living in your purpose, when you're in alignment, everything else will come.
yeah.
Everything else will come, and life will be so easeful that you'll be like, this feels really good.
I love it. Definitely is, because like now getting back to where and the things that I'm doing, I'm like, man, like I said, it's just coming so much more naturally and easy, and just connecting with such amazing people like yourself. It's like it's just happening. It's just blooming, and I feel good. I don't feel like it's pressure. I don't feel like it's work. It's just, God, let me do your will. Let me do your will. And Ben, you said also about being true to yourself. So, what would you say to that coach, that leader that is emotionally and spiritually drained, but they still showing up for everyone else?
Well, this is something that I always say: you want to have your purpose over the pressure. And you just said pressure. You said the word pressure just now. The when you're feeling that pressure, please know that the purpose is going to always win. And so when you're feeling pressure, you want to get closer to what you know your purpose is. That's that alignment, right? And so for that coach that's feeling just a ton of pressure, they've got to take a beat, take a minute to say, am I in alignment? Yeah, I know this check is what it is, or I've got these expenses, these bills, I've got this my family I've got to take care of, I've got, just in life be lifing on top of whatever your job and responsibility is with coaching. You've got to figure out what your purpose is. And you will find pressure is alleviated like almost immediately. Like you know that you're able to work through it so easily when that happens. So I don't have a better way to explain it.
Most definitely. The biggest thing you said, working ease with it, is understand that I hear is you got to let it go. You got to let it go and just walk in purpose. But I also like what you said, that at some point you got to understand pressure is going to follow purpose. Like we get so quick to run away from it, but God is going to have to give you something to be able to give you purpose. We just be want purpose, but we don't want to work for nothing at all. It's like, now we know we got to work to be in line in what we say we're going to do. Like, you got to go through some sort of thing on there. And also with the work that you do, how would you say just emotional well-being comes into place in addition to walking into that journey of, we said spiritually, faithful, in alignment, but your emotions too, how does that have to be in place?
So this is a work in progress for me for sure. Okay. Um, I realized that two things I can't do it all on my own. Point blank period. I will definitely get in, and I don't have a prayer closet, but I have a little prayer area that I will just I'll be pray and meditate and just really try to give it to God. Just whatever that is, just give it to him, right? But then the other thing is I have, and God has gifted so many people that are wonderful therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, that wherever you are in your emotional or mental wellness, seeking guidance there is so important as well. It's not an either or for me. It's both and. So when there's that time where I just don't have the answer, and of course, God is going to put us in situations where this is when you really know it's Him too. It's bigger than you could handle on your own. You've got to go to God, right? And so once you've done that, if you're really paying attention, there's likely going to be also guidance and support through either Christian counseling or just your a therapist. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that are popping up for support with through therapy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the goal is to make sure that your therapist is in alignment with your purpose. But again, that's where you're figuring it out. Sometimes you're figuring that out together, and your therapist needs to be supporting and guiding you where your purpose is.
Wow. I love that you said that. Is just profound itself, because yeah, we say go get therapy, go talk to people, but you said it needs to be someone that is supporting you as well on that. And if you can just give a little bit more clarity, because I know some people are like, okay, I heard what she said, but if you can,
Say it again for the people in the back.
for all the people all the way in the back, give them some more information on that. Yeah.
Okay, so hmm, how can I'm a storyteller, so if I can tell a story
Please,
about this a little
yes.
bit. There was a time when I was, and this is where this is a story about how you know that you're locked in with your spiritual walk. Okay, this is how you know, because that God will do, because he's got such a sense of humor. It'll make you giggle, right? And so, and I'll start with, you know how to make God giggle. You tell him your plans. Okay, so start with that. When my daughter was going into kindergarten, I had just finished a college coaching stint, moved back to Minneapolis, and was working at the Mall of America at Nordstrom. And shout out to Nordstrom. Eric Nordstrom was the store manager at the time. He is now the CEO of Nordstrom everywhere. But I was shopped by a store because I was working for a high end boutique at the time. You wouldn't be able to tell, but I like fashion a little bit. But and I was shopped. What that means is you have people from another store come and act like they're buying something, but they're really testing you out to see if they want you to work for them, right? So I got a call the next day saying, "Hey, you were shopped. I was in the store. It was one of the managers. I was in the store with the store manager, and we'd like to offer you a position. We really loved how you treated us, and so on and so forth." Long story short, I started working for Nordstrom, right? Um, and I get there, bring my entire clientele from the boutique I was at to that store with me, and treating them like the queens that they are. And the store manager was kind enough to allow me to do a reception for them. And so I had a reception for them. It was on a Sunday. Now, this is key. This is Sunday, which means I'm doing what on a Sunday? I'm working on a Sunday, right? So I'm working on a lot of Sundays. Yes, that was a fun event, but I'm working on a lot of Sundays, which means I'm not able to go worship on Sundays. And again, I think I told you I grew up in the church. I'm a church girl. I'm loving getting my prayer on a Sunday. So one day I say to God, I said, "God, please help me to not have to work on a Sunday. You know how I love you. You know how I love to worship you. You know how I love to be in the place with my church family, all the things." God honored that and exposed me to a situation through that job that showed me I didn't have to work that job, that could become a teacher. So, when you become a teacher, you don't have to work Sundays anymore, and even weekends for that matter, or weekends, or even holidays. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got most of those off. So I'm like, yes, I'm this teacher now. I'm not working on Sunday. I'm in the choir, in the chorale. I'm in the women's missionary society, all the things, right? I'm doing all the things, right? Well, fast forward to up a few years ago, and mind you, I've moved around a few times, and every time I move, the very first thing I do once I get the job and once I get where I'm going to live is I find a church home or go into watch care, whatever city I'm in. It is what it is. I'm not play about me going to church, right? So I get here to Houston, and my pastor from Minnesota actually sends me to my church in Houston. Shout out to Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, Houston, Texas. Dr. Marcus D. Cosby is my pastor. And a couple years after I get to Wheeler, I start working on the production team. Because again, I'm in the media space, and I was in the media space for undergrad, and I'm working on our production team, or I'm serving on our production team. Well, the director over the ministry says to me, "We got a position open for a graphics administrator. Do you think you know somebody?" And because I'm that girl. I'm the person that everybody asks, just, is there a job? Do you know somebody? I mean, I'm not connected. So I told him, I said, "I probably could find somebody for you, but I think you're going to need somebody with a little more flexibility, because you know how church be churching. We got to always be here. So I would love to see if that's something that I could do." Long story short, I get that job. Guess what I'm doing every Sunday now? Working, which was what I had asked God years earlier, to not make me have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the difference between, so the main difference between, first of all, it made me crack up at the
Definitely.
fact that I'm realizing that I'm working every Sunday. And not only am I working every Sunday, I get to work at like 6 a.m. and I'm leaving church till 3. And that's on just a Sunday. But you got your all the days leading up to a Sunday that we're preparing for the worship and our live stream and just all the things, everything else on campus, the whole thing. And but I'm loving it. I'm loving being there. I'm loving being around my colleagues, my church family. I'm loving that I'm serving God in this way, all the things. So the main difference is what? Out of alignment, in alignment.
Mm.
Out of alignment, in alignment. Did it feel like work? I mean, it still kind of felt like work, but there's that sense of that joy that came from that as well. So I hope that that illustration kind of helped to lay that out. It was a little long, but you had to kind of see the path of how God will move in your life, and He sees everything. Where He's looking, He sees everything. Like He knows what's going to happen with this broadcast. He knows what's going to. I know He knows what's going to happen with our continued um, connection, because we're connected for life now, sister.
Yes.
You can't get rid of me now. And you know what I'm saying? And so, and I love that. I love how God just, he's so omnipotent. And if we will just be able to, and I'm working on this too, I'm not perfect in any way in this space, with this right here, but I try to wake up every day and say, okay, what we doing, God? I might have a schedule. I have appointments. I like to try to think that He's literally ordering my steps and my stops continuously every single day.
Come on now, Coach Leah. Come on now. We got to just take a pause and stop from there. Like, oh my God. Like, if you guys didn't take that in from the story and then what she said, it was just so impactful because that alignment is so important because we will, like you said, God, he will laugh at you. And so many people do that. God, I want this, I want this, I want money, I want better this, and then you get their job though. But their job have you, like you said, working on Sundays, it will have you working everything. But when it's alignment, it's not job because God still placed you with, I'm gonna give you what you want, you're gonna serve me. So that was just so powerful to be able to really say what is alignment and what alignment mean from that standpoint. I mean, just amazing how you said it. And God lead me, order my steps, and stop. Do it, but do both of them on it, especially when I'm running to something. So thank you for sharing it. And as we kind of gear to stopping, because I know you're gonna have to come back and we're gonna be doing some more speaking because it's some more storytelling you got into you that people need to hear this word and the worship in between it, also what we do. What I wanted to kind of end on a few more questions, but one of the things that you said earlier was like the importance of having connection, the sisterhood and mentorship of other people. You were saying you can't do it alone. You have been on an amazing journey, doing some amazing things, connecting with some amazing people, doing amazing work. What is the importance or significance of connecting with other people?
So, what is the importance of that? I think the key to answering that question is we were put on this earth to be in community, to be in fellowship. We were not put on this earth to be by ourselves and be alone. And we know that from scripture, from Genesis, point blank period, right? And so with that being said, and it's so funny, I had an interview earlier today and somebody asked me about, how do I model and how do I get along with other people that may have different beliefs, that may have different, um, the lifestyles, things of that nature. And I said, well, you got to lead with love. Okay, so now I'm going to come back from that a little bit. When you're able to now build community with people who you don't necessarily know, or definite, or necessarily, if you allow for the love that's within you to lead in that situation, you'd be surprised at how easily community is built from that standpoint. And I know that I've taken that a step further because I've created. It's not that I've created. God birthed in me organizations and programs where it built community, starting with my nonprofit, the Fraser Foundation, and through that was the Diamond in the Rough program, now which is now a fellowship, where young women, we brought them together to learn what it was like to play basketball at the Division I level, brought them on campus and brought them all together. Many of them are mothers themselves now. Again, that lets you know how old I am. But what's really cool about that is it built community with them, with that commonality of basketball, but more importantly, the commonality of they're driven. They care. Many of them are in social and social service professions now, or they're doctors, or in where they're serving community themselves as adults. And so, when I look back at that, again, it's receipts, but I look back at that and I'm like, wow, that is really, really cool how through this vehicle, which we all know is a great vehicle to build community. If we see now adult women giving back, paying it forward, and doing all the things that are going to keep community thriving through their works, right? Then what God then turned around and did was through myself, and shout out to my business partner, Sylvia Crawley Span, we started Tall Girls United. We literally got almost simultaneously the same vision from God to do that. And our mission is to unite tall girls and tall girl brands globally. And it started as just a little, labor of love, something just fun to do a conference, our Wellness, Wealth, and Winning conference alongside the Women's Final Four. We'll be in Phoenix this year. Come check us out. Shout out
Okay.
April. But now we're seeing where other tall women are saying, man, I got an email just the other day. I'm 16 years old and I'm so glad to see that this platform exists because I feel so by myself. And I know that we call ourselves, this is your tribe, that there's a tribe that exists that I can interact with. And it's a safe place. Everything that I do, that Sylvia and I do, is very strongly rooted in our faith. So we have God in the middle of everything. We don't promote it as a faith organization, but it's no mistake in once you're in the mix that you know that God resides right there, and we don't make any apology for that. So that's kind of a long answer, but I guess I need to say that I don't have any control over how God is using me to help build community. God is using me to help build very strong programming and allowing for there to be that light that connects through me. You know what I'm saying? So,
And definitely your light is connecting, is definitely shining, and people can feel it through the screen because I know I can feel it just when you actually go in detail. You go in of just you can tell that, like you said, your journey is your receipts, and it speaks for itself, and it speaks through you to go to other people. And like it says, we always tell people the journey is not for us, it's for someone else, and you definitely show that on it. So we definitely want to thank you, Coach. We know we're gonna have you back on, as you talked about also, you guys, which y'all be going having in Phoenix. You said having an event. Definitely want to get you to come back just to talk about that. Like, the goal is just to continue to inspire and put platforms out there to say, you know what, we thank you. We appreciate and we support you for supporting other women and other great people. So we definitely got to have you to come back on and just talk about that experience again. It's all about helping someone else navigate. I'm sure somebody else trying to do a conference or event and like, look, I'm a faith leader and I need somebody to talk to me about faith, not just about getting money and having a conference, but no, teach me how to walk this journey of doing it. So we definitely got to have you back on. But before we leave, I just want to say, is there any last words? I always ask my guests any play that you want to give the listeners that they can take with them.
so I'm developing a new signature line for Coach Leah's After the Whistle when we come out of hiatus and go into season 2. But I really want for people to understand that no matter where you are in your journey, no matter where you are in your journey. You want to make sure that you show up ready. Show up wherever that is. Show up ready and to experience whatever that is for you, right? And then you go out and you be great.
Mm.
Period.
Show up ready and be great. That's it, you guys. Show up ready and be great. Now tell the people where they can show up and connect with you. How can they connect with you, follow you, and all those great things?
So LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. And if you'll just Google my name, Leah Jean Denley, you should be able to find me. I think you can still find me in Coach Leah with a 40. I think you can find me there as well on LinkedIn. My Instagram and my X is Coach Leah 40. 40 was the number that I had when I played in college. So CoachLeah, as you may see on the screen, all together. And my website, coachleah.net, is a really great place to learn more about me and my shenanigans, all the different things that I like to do and that I'm tasked to do, that I'm called to do. And yeah, so when you go into my website, if you put your contact information in there, then myself typically or a member of my team will be able to respond right away to whatever. If you need to do a consultation, I do those complimentary for my coaching and my consulting, or if you just want to share some information, and I can help guide you to what platforms would be really viable and useful for that as well. I'm happy to do so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. And as you guys know, always, if you have any questions, all of our information will be down at the bottom. But we do ask if you have any comments or thoughts or just a question, you can also drop that too as well in the YouTube. We're going to make sure she get that as well. But don't go in this alone. You've heard the powerfulness of her. If you have anything, she is here. She's had the journey. She's already extended saying, hey, it's a free. Y'all heard that? Free. So make sure you get that consultation. But as always, you guys, this is your girl, Coach Perry. And like I always say, don't just talk about change. Be the doer of the change that you desire and want.